Hey, Gene Phelps, Brandon Speck with the Daily Journal Prep Sports Department. We got 5 teams in Jackson playing this week for state football championships. In Class 1A, we've got the Smithville Seminoles against French Camp. I don't know French Camp's nickname. It's the Panthers. I'm sorry, I just found it here. Brandon, how do you see this ball game?
Well, you and I talked about it a while back. I think Smithville French Camp could be a very even matchup. I mean, a lot of people handing the South all 5 or 6 championships, but looks like Smithville could win one for the North. They got just as good a shot as anybody. And that's a team that, an offensive line wise, has played well all year. They're older on the offensive line. Have a quarterback in Drew Lann, who's a 6'4" guy, and run that read option with or zone read with Drew Lann, and then Tyler Hood at running back. They run it real well and real to precision. So that's a team that offensively just kind of do their thing and do it real well, and they got a shot to give French Camp some problems.
And we'll bring up a lot about the weather conditions that we're supposed to have this weekend. It's going to rain. I think that favors a Smithville team that starts with the run to set up the pass. And Smithville is very effective. You hear coaches and a lot of coaches speak, what our offensive line is this and offensive line that. They really mean that Smithville and that offensive line is really good. I saw them play Broad Street in the playoffs, and they were opening up holes, and it was really easy for them to move the ball up and down the field, and Broad Street never figured out that little zone read offense, kind of like Oregon runs and a lot of teams run nowadays. But the thing I saw about French Camp, doing a little homework on this game, was they've lost 5 games and they've been beaten pretty good this season. So I don't know. I like Smithville in this one too. So we're both going with Smithville?
Going with Smithville.
All right. In Class 2A, we've got Calhoun City playing Bassfield. Calhoun City's drawing the toughest assignment.
Yeah, they have. Bassfield is a team loaded, but they got 4 Division I guys, 2 to Ole Miss and 2 to Southern Miss. All those guys are cousins. You got Alvin and Calvin Moore going to Ole Miss, and the 2 Southern guys. I think they're all DBs and running backs. So just the team was absolutely loaded with talent. Well, they lost 1 game to Jackson Prep this year, and a team that was there last year. And just, man, they don't just beat people; they beat people really badly. And Calhoun City's they're kind of down a man. Brieton Sykes, unless things change. Brieton Sykes, their leading receiver as far as yardage goes, got an altercation at Baldwin in the North Championship last week. So he's out for the whole game and won't get to play. So that's they're a key DB and a big receiver that Calhoun City's down, and they didn't need to give Bassfield any help.
Bassfield's quite a power. A lot of people think that they could contend. I don't think maybe with 6A, but they could stand their ground with 4A and 5A teams. So looks like Calhoun City's got a tall task ahead this week. Looking ahead here, 4A. This is a Saturday game. You've got Lafayette playing Forrest County AHS. This Lafayette team started 3-5. They've won 7 in a row. Can they keep the hot streak going? They're playing a Forrest County AHS team that's 12-2 and is playing in a state championship for the first time. I know what happened years ago doesn't mean a lot, but last year Lafayette didn't made the playoffs but lost early to Knoxville County. But 2 years before that, they ran the table 2 years in a row, won the state championship. And a lot of these guys are still on that team, this Lafayette team. So how do you see this one?
I like Lafayette. I mean, I saw him in week 2, which seemed like a long time ago at this point. But DK Buford, with the speed he's got, of course, another Ole Miss commit there for Lafayette. He's one of the quickest guys in the state, if not the quickest. And they've got more weapons. Quarterback Devin Thomas is playing well. Their defense in the playoffs has played real well. I think they had a 7-0 win against Greenwood and 9-0 against Knoxville, if I'm not mistaken. So defense is playing well. You know, it's cliche, but they say you want to get better every week. It looks like what Lafayette has done, and they're kind of picked at the right time.
I'm going to go with Lafayette in this one.
I'll take Lafayette.
I really feel good. 5A game, undefeated Oxford, led by a couple of sophomores, playing South Power and a South Power for the last 2 or 3 years, Picayune. This looks like a pretty good matchup, and this will be the Saturday night game, the last game of the 6 games being played down in Jackson this weekend.
Yeah, that field could be in pretty bad shape. They're calling for like 100% chance of rain. That field could be just horrible by Saturday night at 7:30. But Oxford's a team that doesn't rely on the pass or the run completely. They do a little bit of both, and they're really good at both. Quinn Phillips, the running back, he's well over 1,000 yards rushing. Jack Abraham, another sophomore quarterback, throwing for 3,500 or so yards. So They're really well balanced, and they're facing a team that they call themselves ground and pound. They run the ball behind a couple of big linemen, and they do it really, really well. So it's, if I know anything about Johnny Hill, Oxford's coaches, he knows how to plan. So he went out and beat Callaway last week. The team has 4 Ole Miss commits, so if he knows how to plan for that, and he'll be well prepared for this one. I think I'll take Oxford in this one.
Yeah, at the risk of sounding like a homer, I'm going to go with Oxford also in this game. Which brings us up to the game, I guess, a lot of people around here are interested in, and what a season Tupelo Golden Waves had under Trent Hammond in his first year. I believe they're 13-1, only lost to South Panola. They avenged that loss last week to reach the championship game. And now they are playing for the state championship. Brandon?
Yeah, first time since '92. I mean, it's well documented, but Tupelo's had a heck of a year. I think if you'd told those guys last June they would have bowed out in North Half, they would have been plenty happy with that. But they took it a step further, and Trent Hammond and those guys have done a fantastic job. I mean, what can you say? That defense is obviously the best in 6A, and to me, the kind of the storyline here, you got the offensive coordinator at Oak Grove is a guy named Brett Favre. So you got a Brett Favre's offense against the best defense in 6A. So that's probably the best storyline.
I think you're looking at 40 points a game to 9. Tupelo's giving up like 10 points a game. So it's going to be that's the obvious matchup. I think what might play in and be a difference in the game is special teams. And Tupelo's blocked some kicks this year, returned some kicks. Have played very well with special teams. They've got a good kicker. I mean, sometimes he misses an extra point, and sometimes he kicks a 40-yard field goal, and he can kick the ball all the way into the end zone on the kickoff, which is good from a field position standpoint. So I don't know that much or anything really about Oak Grove special teams play, but this is going to be quite a contrast out there. This Tupelo defense has almost been very stifling against a team that likes to throw the ball, and that's where the wet field again comes in and the rain. If it's raining, maybe it doesn't bode well for Oak Grove.
And you and I talked about this yesterday, but I think somebody brought this up maybe at the press conference Monday, was that you automatically think a wet field kind of helps the running team a little bit. But you talk about the receivers at Oak Grove, for a guy in McCarty who's throwing for 3,700 yards. They know the routes they're running, so if they can catch a wet football, they know where they're going. The DBs will be the guys having to stop where they're going in the wet tracks and try to find the ball. So if they can catch a wet football, it could favor Oak Grove. So weather conditions could play a very big role Friday night.
And it's 80% chance of rain, the latest forecast, and this is Wednesday afternoon, is 80% chance of rain during the day. So that field is going to have 2 games played on it already. 8 quarters of football will have been played on that field. It might be in very, very horrible shape by the time Tupelo and Oak Grove step on it. But everybody come on down, and if you can't, all the games are going to be on Mississippi Public Broadcasting, I believe, and so you should be able to pick up those games if you have a cable network.